Okay, it's time to check Utah business news now with the new executive editor-in-chief of Utah Business Magazine, Catherine Bennett. Thanks so much for being with us.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
what a treat.
Yeah, and congratulations on your new leadership role.
Thank you. Kind of wild,
awesome.
isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, we want to talk about what's in the magazine that just dropped a few days ago.
Let's do it.
And it's, I guess, mission-related businesses with a profile on beekeepers. What is a mission-type business?
Oh, great question. So I actually have a background in marketing, and so it's when, you kind of wake up every day and you know exactly what your purpose is. Here's what I'm going to accomplish today, and over time, here's the big goal, right, that's going to accomplish. All
right, we want to show you the cover of this month's magazine. Okay, and beekeeping. Is it big business in Utah?
I wouldn't say it's big business, but actually, fun fact, we're the Beehive State, as we all know.
Oh, yeah.
We're actually the 38th best state for beekeeping, so we'll never compete with California, but we still...
The 38th, okay.
We try, and actually, beekeeping has quintupled in size in the last 20 years, so that's a positive note. However, the story, our cover is incredibly interesting. It's actually a two-parter. The first part, we meet twins, the Polson brothers, who graduated from BYU, started a business called the Bee Partner, and they're actually getting businesses and other individuals involved in beekeeping. So you don't have to become a bee hobbyist, and because it's actually really difficult to take care of bees. And so they are actually letting businesses invest in their hives, and they give them money in return. So it's a corporate social corporate responsibility play. So if sustainability is something that's important to you, then the Bee Partner's the place to go.
So what is the projected future of this? I mean, honeybees, we know, have had some problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I think that's why it's so cool to see the growth of beekeeping in Utah is, we've had those scares. And so over time, I think this will just continue. I guess that brings me to the second part of this kind of mini story that we tell is we see beekeeping kind of combining forces, joining forces. So we had a beekeeper join up with a kind of a bigger beekeeping business up in Eden, and we're seeing that more and more collaboration to do more good in beekeeping.
So should this inspire me to get into being a beekeeper, or?
Well, as I said, what I've learned is that if you can be a hobbyist, but it's actually really hard to take care of bees. They catch disease quite quickly. So, you don't have to get your hands sticky. That's kind of what we're saying is you can let the Polson brothers do it for you and still feel good about it.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Are we seeing more jobs coming out of this, or is it just?
No, I mean, not necessarily. I think we're seeing more impact come out of it. More and more people are getting, are interested in it, but it's not a huge boom, but something that's still impactful for businesses to get involved in.
Okay. And while we're talking about businesses, Sawmill just reopened, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
We love to see wins in smaller counties. So Utah Business is really intentional about making sure we're telling stories in counties all over the state. So this month we looked at Garfield County, and specifically at Panguitch, where a sawmill is. It was actually.
It had a fire like last year.
It did. And that was devastating. They've said that, similar to Utah or Salt Lake area losing 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 jobs, that's kind of similar to Panguitch losing 30 or 40 jobs.
Oh.
It's devastating to that community. And
we have some shots of the sawmill there. Well, that's Monument Valley.
That's Monument Valley.
But, okay, and that's another story we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next.
There's the sawmill.
There it is.
Okay.
Yes. And so it's just a huge bright spot that a CEO of Kings Peak Lumber came in and is rebuilding that sawmill. And it's just a huge benefit to that community. They're so excited. And he wants to make sure it's successful, multi-generational for years to come. And obviously the natural resource that it brings is huge for Utah.
About 100 jobs then?
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
okay.
Yep. And higher paying jobs. There's some 6-figure jobs there, which is huge for that.
Great.
Yep. And even the hourly is above normal for that area. So.
Fantastic. Okay, we just saw Monument Valley there. Okay, you'd think that small towns love to have like big events come. but it is kind of a strain.
Yes, it is, and it's actually there. You know, we do have events that come into areas, but also we just have these beautiful national parks that we see millions of people come through every year, and we think about, oh well, that must be a huge benefit to that area, which it is. The local businesses benefit so much. We don't think about, what about the injury, the life flighting, the kind of more structural support that those people need as they come in, and that actually can drain the tax dollars and that area. And so we've seen the Department of Tourism and local governments come together and create. They passed House Bill 456, and that bill allows. It's called the Transient Room Tax. This is the tax that you use is on Airbnbs and hotels, and so they've lifted that tax.
Brings a little extra money to absorb
a little
some
extra
of the
padding.
issues, yeah.
Yes, because in some of these smaller towns, the people who are the EMTs rushing people to the hospital are also like contractors by day. They're volunteers, and so there just isn't the structure there to support some people in these ways. So we've found solutions and really rallied around these communities.
Have we already
to help
seen
them.
some benefits from that yet, or?
Absolutely, and I'm trying to remember the dollar amounts, but I think the bill, the taxes alone, it's adding, I think, $5 million or so to some of these cities to help structurally support the tourists.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, any other tidbits in this month's magazine that we'll learn from?
Yes, I mean, this is our Legal Elite Month, so if you want to see the movers and shakers in the legal world, that's in.
So in other words, the best lawyers?
The very best lawyers, yes. We have many amazing lawyers in the state. You also can see, kind of by the numbers, the Rio Grande plan, how that's going to affect our GDP over time. Anyway, what it's predicted to do, and then you can also see.
Okay, so you talked about the big project downtown.
Yes, the big
so
project.
you've been digging into that.
Yes, we've been looking at the numbers.
Any big surprises?
I don't know, big surprises. I think it says that that's going to potentially create 51,000 jobs, which is huge. $13 billion in GDP. And then, you'll also love to meet some of the James Beard Awards. The James Beard Award is the culinary just prowess, So some of the very best in our culinary world, you get to meet them in the magazine too. So
Right.
great issue.
Well, that's cool. We love the business connection and a lot of fascinating things.
Fascinating things.
I enjoy that.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for being with us. And we'll see you again next month.
Can't wait.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay. Have a great